Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. Susan sat at the dining table, tapping her pen like she was timing a heartbeat. Her laptop screen glowed against the dim kitchen light. I leaned on the counter with my coffee, watching her scroll through slides full of fashion sketches and sponsor numbers. When I looked closer, one sentence caught my eye under resources. Primary backer, Kenneth Grant, housing, transport, operational support. I blinked. That's me? She didn't even glance up. Of course it's you. It's just standard language for proposals. If this proposal works, I can finally open the studio, she added, eyes still on the screen. Standard language? I said. You make it sound like I'm a business loan. It's how investors read things, Kenneth. They want clean numbers, not stories. I built the house. Pay the bills. Keep your studio lights on. That's not just numbers. She sighed, the kind of sigh that says you're being inconvenient. You're taking this too personal. I set my mug down. I am personal. That's my name under your funding. Stop making it an argument, she said, typing faster. You've always supported me. This is no different. It's very different, I replied, because from next month, we'll split things. You handle your studio, and I'll handle the house. Separate cards, separate accounts. Her fingers froze. You're joking. No. You want professional? Let's be professional. That's extreme. It's accurate. She pushed her chair back, finally meeting my eyes. Why are you turning everything into a transaction? Because that's how you wrote it. For a long second, neither of us spoke. Then she turned back to her screen and said quietly, We'll talk after I send this. No, I said. You'll send it now and plan around the new rules. She clicked submit, and the sound of it landed like a lock turning. That night, while she went upstairs, I sat at the same table and opened a notebook. I wrote 3 words at the top of a clean page. House, business, boundaries. It wasn't anger. It was the start of order. The launch was held in an old warehouse turned showroom. Susan was in her element, moving between groups, smiling like nothing at home had shifted. I stood near the entrance, watching her introduce people as if she'd been born under the spotlights. When she saw me, her eyes brightened with that practiced warmth. Everyone, this is my husband, Kenneth, she said. He's the reason this collection even exists. His company practically carried us through production. The words hit me harder than the music. My company? Practically carried? Before I could speak, a tall man in a blue suit slid next to her. Rocky Mills, he said, shaking my hand. His grip was firm, almost rehearsed. Susan's told me everything. We're building something big together. Her vision, your backing. It's perfect synergy. I smiled without showing teeth. Synergy requires signatures. I haven't seen any. He chuckled, looking to Susan. He's protective. I like that. Susan squeezed my arm lightly. He's just teasing, Rocky. I'm not, I said. My company doesn't sponsor fashion projects. That's not what we do. Her hand froze on my sleeve. Kenneth, please. But I didn't stop. So, for the record, any future funding or use of my business name needs written approval. Otherwise, it's a false representation. The circle of guests went still. Rocky lifted his glass, trying to laugh it off. Of course, all formalities in time. Good, I said, taking a sip of water. Because formalities are what keep people honest. Susan's face didn't crack. Not then. She smiled, thanked everyone for coming, and guided the conversation somewhere safer. On the drive home, she stared out the window. You embarrassed me, she said finally. You used my name, I replied. I was promoting us. You were selling me. She didn't respond. That night, while she slept, I logged into every joint account we had and began labeling expenses line by line. It wasn't revenge. It was preparation. For the next few weeks, Susan stopped asking me about work, and I stopped pretending everything was fine. She stayed late at her studio, coming home with that faint mix of paint and new perfume, something that didn't belong to me. One night, she made dinner, candles and all. We don't have to be enemies, she said. You made your point. Let's reset. I'm not your enemy, I told her. I'm your partner with boundaries. Boundaries, she repeated, like it was a foreign word. You make it sound like marriage is a contract. It becomes one when money's involved, I said, especially when my name's being used in proposals. She looked offended but didn't argue. The next morning, I emailed her a simple plan. Split household costs, separate credit cards, no more automatic transfers to her studio account. I even kept the tone polite, just bullet points and effective dates. 2 days later, I received an email from a law firm I'd never heard of. It said Susan was seeking legal clarity regarding equitable interests in shared assets. I read it twice, then forwarded it to my accountant with one line. Start the audit. That night, Susan came home late, glowing with confidence. Rocky says this is just smart planning, she said casually. You'd agree if you weren't so defensive. I'm not defensive, I said. I'm protecting what I built. Rocky thinks... I cut her off. Rocky doesn't pay our mortgage. Rocky doesn't get a say. She folded her arms. He's helping me find real investors. Not everyone hoards receipts to feel in control. I didn't rise to it. I'd already started changing account passwords, updating ownership documents, and archiving our transactions. Later that night, I heard her laughing softly on a call in the next room. It wasn't the kind of laugh that belonged in a marriage. I didn't interrupt. I just opened a new spreadsheet and started listing every asset line by line. The next step was coming. I could feel it. It happened on a Wednesday. My delivery driver mentioned seeing Susan and a man in a sharp suit outside a vacant shop downtown. They were talking to a real estate agent, he said. The guy was saying your company was backing the lease. I asked for the address and drove there myself. The landlord, Maria Delgado, met me with a polite smile that faded when I introduced myself. Oh, you're Kenneth Grant? She said. Your wife and her consultant already said your business was guaranteeing the space. I showed her my ID, then handed her my card. That's false. My company doesn't guarantee anything without my signature. Please remove us from any paperwork. Maria nodded quickly. Understood. I'll correct it. By the time I got home, Susan was in the kitchen on her phone. You used my company to lease a store. She froze for half a second, then said, It's just preliminary. Rocky handled the details. You forged a guarantor. That's not preliminary. That's fraud. She looked away. He believes in my work. He said this would show confidence. Belief doesn't need my company's name, I said. She crossed her arms. You make everything transactional. You don't understand creativity. I understand theft, I said evenly. And I won't fund it. She grabbed her phone and walked past me without a word. I didn't stop her. I didn't need to. That evening she didn't come home. No message, no call. By midnight, her side of the bed was still untouched. I told myself not to chase answers. People who want to stay don't go silent. The next night, my phone buzzed while I was closing the office. A short message, no greeting. I found someone else. Don't make this messy. I stared at the text for a long minute. Then I typed back one line. Understood. And that was it. No begging, no scenes. By morning, I had frozen our joint cards, redirected all account alerts to my phone, and shut off her company fuel access. By evening, her studio account was empty. 2 days later, the electric company called. Her automatic payments had bounced. 48 hours after her message, the life she built on my dime stopped running. When the money stopped, the silence began. No calls, no messages, just an echo. 3 days later, my phone lit up with a blocked number. I let it ring once before answering. Her voice was soft, almost unfamiliar. Kenneth, I didn't mean it like that. Rocky said he'd handle things, but he's gone. His number's dead. You chose him, I said calmly. Now you deal with the outcome. He tricked me, she said, her voice breaking. I thought he believed in me. I did too, I replied, until you wrote me out of the story. After that, she sent short messages every few hours, requests for emergency access, questions about the car, her studio, the cards. I didn't answer any. By the weekend, she was out of the apartment she'd shared with Rocky after leaving me. A friend dropped her off at her parents' house 2 towns over. My lawyer, Dana Miller, filed the divorce papers the following Monday. Grounds: financial deceit and breach of marital trust. Susan contested, claiming contribution to emotional labor and creative growth. Dana smiled when she read that part. She's arguing feelings in a courtroom built on paper, she said. I had the paper, bank statements, invoices, signed receipts, every dollar accounted for. When the hearing came, Susan looked smaller than I remembered. The makeup couldn't hide the exhaustion. Her lawyer tried painting me as cold and punishing. Dana simply opened our files and said, "Mr. Grant doesn't punish. He documents." In 40 minutes, the judge ruled. No spousal support, no claim to assets, car returned, studio property transferred fully to Kenneth's ownership. She walked out, holding nothing but her purse and a tremble. When the clerk handed me the decree, I didn't feel joy, just quiet. Dana asked, "You good?" "I'm steady," I said. Susan texted once more. "Can we at least talk?" I typed back, "We already did." In court. Then I archived her number. 2 days after the court ruling, she showed up at my office. My assistant buzzed me. "There's a woman asking for you. Says it's urgent." I stepped into the hallway and saw Susan standing there, holding her phone like a peace offering. "Please, Kenneth," she said quietly. "I just need 5 minutes." I nodded toward the conference room. 5 minutes. She sat across from me, eyes red. "Rocky lied about everything. He said investors were ready, but they weren't. He took my designs, my client list, and left. I lost everything." I folded my hands. "You didn't lose everything. You traded it." She looked down. "I thought I was doing what was best for my career." "No," I said evenly. "You did what was best for your ego." Her jaw tightened. "I was scared you'd never see me as equal." "I would have, if you hadn't tried to cash in on my name." She tried a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We can start over. No investors, no lies, just us." I shook my head. "We signed the papers. We're not us anymore." Tears welled, but I didn't move. The last time I tried to comfort her, it cost me half a decade. She whispered, "You don't even hate me." "I don't," I said. "But I don't owe you peace either." She pressed her palms together, searching for words that wouldn't come. I stood. She looked at me once more, like she finally saw the version of me she couldn't manipulate. Then she walked out without another word. When the door closed, my office felt quieter. That night, I slept straight through till morning. No dreams, no noise, just rest, the kind that doesn't need permission. The weeks after Susan's visit felt weightless. Work picked up fast, new contracts, more deliveries, fewer distractions. I spent my mornings at the warehouse with the crew, eating takeout coffee and talking schedules instead of arguments. There was peace and structure. One Saturday, my company helped at a food drive downtown. That's where I met Sela, a physical therapist with calm eyes and a laugh that didn't sound rehearsed. She was handing out boxes from the back of a van when I offered to help. "You're good at this," she said. "I run trucks for a living," I told her. "I'm just doing my job for free today." She smiled. "Then I'll pay you in coffee." It started small. Conversations between breaks, simple and clean. No expectations, no history lessons. She didn't ask about Susan, and I didn't volunteer the story. When she finally did, weeks later, I told her straight. She left. I closed the chapter. Sela nodded. "You didn't lose a wife," she said. "You lost a weight you kept trying to carry alone." I didn't know how much I needed to hear that until she said it. Meanwhile, Susan was unraveling. A mutual acquaintance told me she'd tried to restart her label under a new name, but investors avoided her after hearing about the forged lease. Rocky had disappeared, leaving unpaid bills and her reputation in pieces. She'd been staying with her parents, posting old photos as if the past could be edited. Dana, my lawyer, forwarded a short notice. Susan's attorney confirmed all settlements were complete. No appeals, no pending claims. Legally, we were ghosts to each other. One evening, Sila and I sat on the back of my pickup. "You're quieter than most people," she said. "Noise got expensive," I replied. She laughed. "Then keep it cheap." I looked at her, steady and simple. No games, no drama. Just someone who showed up because she wanted to, not because she needed to. And for the first time in years, that felt like wealth. A month later, an email appeared in my inbox with no subject line. It was from Susan. "I'm sorry. Rocky's gone. I misjudged everything. I need time to think." I read it twice, then typed slowly. "You still have time to rebuild. Just not with me." The message was short, direct, and final. She replied a few hours later. "Maybe someday we can talk." I wrote back, "We already did." Then I archived the thread. A few weeks later, someone sent me a photo from social media. Susan sitting in her parents' backyard. For once, She wasn't performing. I didn't feel anger or pity, just distance. I thought about that single message. I found someone else, and how it freed me to finally choose peace over performance. I didn't destroy her life, I just stopped paying for it. And in the silence that followed, I realized something simple and true. Endings aren't punishments. They're permission. Thank you for watching.